Hello and welcome to NHL Best Bets. Yesterday was another good day for our picks. We had two picks here, as you see. Two road underdogs, Chicago against Dallas. Chicago was relying on their golden goalkeeper Kevin Lankinen here. Dallas outshot Chicago quite a bit, but the end result was 4-2, and Chicago was leading 4-0 after two periods. So very clear victory for Chicago, even though Dallas, like I said, outshot the visitors 30-16. But Kevin Lankinen was the man, like we discussed yesterday, that he can make saves and secure the victory in Texas. Then Washington against Philadelphia, these two East Division rivals. That was a bit tighter game overall, even though Washington was leading it 3-1 after two periods. Then they let Pittsburgh to the game and gave few goals. Empty netter at the end secured victory for Washington 5-3. And Philadelphia outshot Washington 33-22, but they didn't have too much quality chances. Washington had good chances and they converted those with reasonable ratio, even though Philadelphia's goalkeeper made some good saves. Good picks tonight or last night, Tommy. Any comments?
Yeah, great to see all the games green again, and it was pretty much as predicted, both of these picks. First to go to Dallas, the game was quite similar to the earlier one that ended 6-1 for the home team, but this time, like we discussed yesterday, Chicago managed to keep the A-grade chances quite low. Kevin Lankinen played a great game and took everything that he was supposed to. Chicago was leading 0-4 after the two periods, so it was a clear win for them. They did only shoot 16 times, I think, and then maybe not the best game for Gudobin in the net for Dallas, but Chicago, like we discussed, is a defensive team and they can turn over the game really fast, and that's something that hit Dallas now, and well-deserved, well-fought victory for Chicago here. Then in the Eastern counterpart, it was an interesting game, a little bit back and forth. In the second period, it looked like Washington was going to take it all. Philadelphia looked gassed that they are not able to compete. But then in the third period, the home team got their game going, and it looked like Washington was the one that's going to run out of gas. But they managed to hold on to their lead after all, and then scored the empty netter 3-5. Pretty much justified score. Washington had better chances. Philadelphia was turning the puck over quite a lot. For example, the Ovechkin goal, the first one, was a horrible missed pass by a Philadelphia player in their own end. So this is the sort of things that you can't do against a team of Washington's caliber if you want to win these games. So a couple of those goals, and it was game over for Philadelphia. Great odds for us, an excellent pick, and let's continue with this.
Any other games that you want to highlight? I think we discussed a few of these, like New York Islanders, New Jersey, that had that extremely low total of 5, and it was 5-3, so it was over like we predicted. And I think another highlight here, like we said, some of these high odds, or extremely low odds, like Tampa, for example, are maybe easy picks, but like we saw last night, they don't cover every time, and that means that when you have odds in that level, you need to win 6 games in order to break even. And now the Detroit surprised everybody by beating Tampa.
Yeah, that's a good example of how you don't play these lousy odds, even if the team is better, because eventually you're going to lose. And it was this sort of a game from Tampa Bay that we've seen earlier as well, that they come in a little bit like we have a saying in Finnish, 90% concentration will lead to 50% performance. So that was a little bit like that. They did then wake up in the end of the game, but they already had missed their chance to score. And allowing 6 goals to Detroit is something that the head coach will not be happy about. A lot of skating to do in the practice after this, but Tampa Bay had their chances. Second period, they had 3 consecutive power plays. They didn't convert a single one, and this is the sort of thing that you don't usually see from a team of Tampa's caliber. But like we've stated before, long season, these sort of missed games will happen, and that's why the odds of something -300 are usually not worth taking.
Yeah, that's very true. And if we take a look at other games that we discussed yesterday, there are these teams with quite high odds, but they are not in a place to win too much, like New York Rangers against Boston, Buffalo against Pittsburgh, and then Columbus against Florida. So I think here much better teams were better last night as well and secured victories.
Yeah, in this case, like we mentioned, Pittsburgh against Buffalo. Buffalo such in a bad place at the moment. Nothing is going for them. So these sort of things are then the ones you can pick, like Penguins getting their trend up. They have played a lot better now than they have earlier in the season. Now is a good phase for them. They're facing the teams that are lower in the table. They've mostly faced a tougher competition previously, so it's a little bit of this sort of a must-win situation for them now against these lousy teams that the other teams have already played. So Pittsburgh is a good bet if they get reasonable odds. Like this time they had okay odds against Buffalo. That is such a bad team that you can go for it. And then the other game you mentioned, Boston, New York Rangers, was something that we discussed, that Rangers such a disappointment this season that maybe we're not going to go with them anymore, because they don't seem to be able to turn these even a little bit closer games. They can't win those. And then Boston is a team that is a contender, and they can beat anyone. So even with these odds, it was a good selection not to take Rangers in this game, even though the simulation did indicate a lot closer game.
How the simulations did this time? Was machine again better than men, or was it vice versa last night?
Actually, we did this time manage to pick the best of the best, so we took the 2 most valuable picks. The machine did fine as well. It was +76 from all the games inside value and +324 from the money line, so the machine did all right as well. And this time also the totals were 6 out of 10 correct, so a profit there as well. So good night overall, but extremely good night for us, of course.
Yeah, tonight we have 5 games, so let's take a quick look first for the season futures here and review what kind of teams are going to playoffs based on those simulations that we've done for all the rest of the games. If we start from the Central Division, there I think we predicted at the beginning that there are these 3 or 2 teams at least, Carolina and Tampa, which are best, and then during the first part of the season, Florida has risen to top 3, but how it looks right now, which team will take the 4th spot?
Yeah, we have the same teams in this division as the standings at the moment are. So it is Chicago Blackhawks taking the 4th spot at the moment, with about 7-point difference to Dallas Stars, who is now the 5th team in this season forecast. So it will be a close battle between those. But the 3 last teams, Columbus, Nashville, and Detroit, seem to be pretty much out of it. Columbus has less than 2% chance to make the playoffs according to this simulation. So it will be decided between Dallas and Chicago, the 4th spot. This moment Chicago has the upper hand, but Dallas has 6 games less played. So something that they have to start improving, and they have to play better in these these 6 games that Chicago has in hand. So let's see how Dallas will bounce back from the loss last night and see if they can catch up after getting these games played.
Yeah, it looks like Chicago is the overperforming team here compared preseason, but some of these small things, like we've discussed many times, good goaltending and then good performance from these high-paid stars like Patrick Kane and Duncan Keith. Those are the cornerstone of success. A bit similar to what we've seen in LA Kings as well, that it's not only the young stars that need to perform. You can get some power out of the older players as well, and they haven't run out of the gas yet in their career.
Yeah, and that's it's a very interesting season for that sort of thing because the situation is so different from anything else. So maybe it is that the veterans are actually better adapted to these sort of just knowing that they can just play the game and not worry about too much and all these sort of things. Maybe for the young guys, it is a bit more of a sort of a new thing is a new thing, and they're a bit shaky at times, as we've seen. For example, New York Rangers, a great example of this, a young team, and the young players haven't been performing very well. So it is maybe these sort of extraordinary circumstances that bring the best out of the veteran players.
Speaking about New York Rangers, in the East Division, they were our pick to playoffs, but now it definitely looks like they are out of the picture. Or is the simulation still predicting them to be, in among the playoff teams?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. New York Islanders have taken the place of Rangers. They're actually second now in the season forecast, Islanders. Rangers are out of the playoffs. They are behind more than 10 points from the playoff spot, only about 16% probability to make the playoffs anymore. So Rangers, one of the biggest disappointments along with Nashville this season compared to our simulations. The fight is still ongoing in the East. It is still a very close division. Washington Capitals, New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, Boston Bruins are currently the teams that are making the playoffs. I don't think there is any surprises there. Of course, we did predict Flyers to do better, but they have had some issues. They had issues earlier with the COVID protocols. Now they're having issues with the defense and the goaltending. So let's see how they are able to climb up from this hole that they dug early on. So it is still very close in the playoffs contest. 4 points difference at the moment between Bruins on the 4th place and Philadelphia Flyers on the 5th.
And then if we go to Scotia North Division, there Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton and Montreal are the current top 4 teams. We predicted that Montreal is not going to go to playoffs before the season, and I think during the last 10 games they've shown that they may not be the playoff team. But how about the simulations? Do they think that Montreal will play for Stanley Cup?
Yeah, the simulations have decided that Montreal is worthy of the playoffs at the moment. If only it's less than 50% the chance. So a very close battle between Calgary and Montreal for that 4th spot. It does seem that Toronto is a clear winner of this division, and then Edmonton, Winnipeg are going to the playoffs with quite a huge certainty. They have been the 3 best teams of this division. Then comes Montreal and Calgary in a very even battle. The difference is less than 3 points at the end of the season, according to the simulations. Now Montreal is ahead, but Calgary is thereabouts challenging. Now they did change head coach, as did Montreal. So an interesting battle there as well. Which team will find their stride? I think both of the teams are quite in a similar place and as good teams as they each other. So it's interesting to see what happens with this 4th spot in the playoffs. But we can count Vancouver and Ottawa out. I don't think they can challenge the better teams here.
And then lastly, Toyota West Division. There I think the standing is what we have expected from the beginning of the season, even though we haven't been able to get very accurate results from game to game predictions. But these 4 teams that were predicted before the season, Vegas, St. Louis, Minnesota and Colorado, are the ones that will cruise to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think here the odds makers have been just more accurate than we have been. We've gotten the winners right most of the time, but that's not enough when the odds are lousy as we've seen. But yeah, in the season simulations we do have Colorado, Vegas, Minnesota, and St. Louis going in the playoffs quite clearly. Difference is then about 10 points between at the moment St. Louis Blues, the fourth place team, and Los Angeles Kings, the fifth. So it's quite a clear cut there after the playoff spots. Of course, we had a little scare from Arizona and Los Angeles Kings at some point that they are able to push through, but I think Minnesota's found their pace, and those three top teams are too good to miss the playoffs. So I think that's the clearest of all these divisions at the moment, at least.
And from the West division, we have a nice donkey bridge to tonight's game, and let's go through those picks that we made here. Arizona goes to Minnesota, and there we most probably have two red-hot Finnish goaltenders, Antti Raanta at Arizona's goal and Kaapo Kähkönen in Minnesota's, and that's key for the under here. They both played very, very well during the last few games. Arizona was outshot by Colorado, I think something like 30-80 in last two games, and Raanta stopped all but four pucks there. And Minnesota beat Vegas in previous game, and there also Kaapo Kähkönen was playing very well. So under 5.5 goals in this game had good value in our simulations. Then Vegas continues their road trip from Minnesota to St. Louis. Midwest tour is ongoing, and there they haven't played extremely well against Minnesota. Of course, very tight games, and very tight game is expected here against St. Louis. That has found a little bit better stride than a week ago when they were losing many games in a row. But now St. Louis will get the plus 110 odds at home, and this top matchup of the West Division can go either way, but with these good odds we pick a home team this time.
Yeah, it's a good day for good picks again, and I think with the Minnesota-Arizona game, the under is a really good pick because of two reasons. The goaltenders, like you said, two Finnish guys, red hot at the moment. They practically won their team points in the last couple of games. Both have played now two in a row. I think they will. Kähkönen for Minnesota and Raanta for Arizona will start, but we have seen weird decisions by the coaching staff. So let's hope that these guys get to play because of their current streak is great. So I think it will be a very close match. The second reason why this is under is that both teams are playing through the defense. Both teams are trusting pretty much in turnovers. They're trying to create chances through fast change of direction and these sort of things that are probably not going to create a lot of scoring chances. And then also likely that there is not going to be a lot of penalties. Both teams are quite disciplined. So it will be a close battle, and I think the under is a great pick here. Probably going to turn into Minnesota's favor, but it is a close game. Then going to the Western massive teams, St. Louis Blues, Vegas game. We have been maybe undermining Vegas a little bit in the simulations, but this time around, I think St. Louis Blues has the upper hand due to the goaltending situation in Vegas. Marc-Andre Fleury played a lot. He's out now. It's an uncertain situation, and St. Louis Blues have got their top players back in the lineup. They are performing better and better, and probably due to losing now 2 times on the road for the California team, St. Louis is playing with a chip on their shoulder, and getting a win over Vegas is something that this team definitely craves for. So I think St. Louis is a great pick with a positive value here. And one more thing against Minnesota, I think Vegas had a couple of lucky goals, and it could have been even greater difference between those teams. So I think St. Louis is at the moment a little bit better, especially when returning home.
Yeah, when they are returning home this season, they've had this kind of return game 3 times from the road trips, and they won all of those 3, so they are happy to be home. And the matchup also between St. Louis and Vegas favors historically St. Louis quite a bit, so they've faced 5 times in last 3 seasons in St. Louis, and home team has won 4 out of those 5, so that's something that it would be good to highlight when picking this winner. Any other games that you think would be worth to check or maybe even bet tonight?
At least checking is always good, but I don't think a lot of value in betting. The heavy favorite Edmonton faces Ottawa in Edmonton, so there is a 75%. According to the simulations, Edmonton wins 75%, so not a lot of value, but the odds are minus 250. If you like these home favorites, again, Edmonton is your team. Similar situation in Colorado, and now Los Angeles Kings is visiting Colorado. Definitely a better team, but they've had their issues. Maybe now with Los Angeles Kings having their 3rd string keeper, maybe this sort of thing will help Colorado to score more goals, which they definitely need to do. We have Colorado winning 74% of the time, and the odds are indicating around 67%. So there is value again in these heavy home favorites, but as we've seen, it's not always the best bet to make.
Let's see how the home favorites perform tonight, and naturally we hope that goalies are continuing their hot hands in St. Paul in the game of Arizona and Minnesota.
Yeah, it will be a Finnish goaltending clinic there.
Let's hope so. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.